right, everyone, this is Level Up Luke. You are listening to Queen City Soccer Show. I am once again bringing you another Twitter Spaces post-game that we did the other night following Charlotte FC's 2-0 thrashing of the Philadelphia Union on the road. Much needed, catapulting us up to 4th place in the MLS East. Disclaimer, obviously, like I do every time, this is after the game, especially in an away match. Folks have maybe been imbibing and partying and having a good time. So these are the fresh, instant reactions. These are not takes that you should hold anybody to. It's just like hanging out with your friends at the bar, so don't take it too seriously. Hope you enjoy, and if you want to tune in next time, you can find me on Twitter at LVLUP_Luke. All right. This is the post-game Twitter Spaces for June 22nd. Charlotte FC has just defeated the Philadelphia Union 2-0 on the road for a crucial 3 points as the Crown begins a 5 out of 6 game road trip. I am joined by my partner from the QCS pod, Cole Godfrey. Cole, what is going on, my man?
Just living the dream, man. Really, really good performance tonight. That last 60 minutes or so, and yeah, man, absolutely giddy right now. Charlotte with another huge 3 points this time on the road, and Big Pat with the brace, and just been soccer all day. Euros, MLS, Copa America. So I mean, it's been a great, great day.
Yeah, it certainly has. I saw the meme go around about how this is the soccer solstice. You start out with the Euros games, and then you have a full MLS slate, and then a Copa slate in the evening. So, I mean, cheers to soccer lovers everywhere. There's a little something for anybody. Charlotte FC on the road. We had a preview with the Philadelphia Union's Jose Nunez, and that was a really good episode. If you guys want to go back and listen, even if you didn't catch it before the game, a lot of good info about Philly. We're going to see them again in Leagues Cup coming up soon. But I also have Ash Hamrick here. Ash, what do you think about the game?
I thought this was one of the better games we've had all season. Defensively, we were very, very good, and I think we had the most attacking threat we've had all season. Leo Bada, I think, looked good, even though he didn't really get a chance to score. I thought he had a couple of great shots on target, along with the assist for Ajiman's second goal. I'd say Ajiman is man of the match today, but for a close second, I would actually give it to Ben Bender. I think Ben Bender at the 10 was a really refreshing sight to see and shows exactly what we need to become more of an offensive threat, a creative midfielder at the 10. And I think Bender has the potential to be that midfielder if he keeps putting in performances like he did tonight.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm so glad that Bender is back healthy again. You know, what a game to watch. I just caught it at home here. Joe Garcia, I see you're here, man. What do you think about the game tonight?
That first 20 minutes or so was a little rough. Kalina was a little bit shaky, but man, once they composed themselves, I mean, they just shut Philly out, man. I thought, Philly had a couple of chances here and there, but overall, like, it just seemed like Philly was really on us for that first 20 minutes because of a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Kalina just playing around with the ball, just some not so good clearances. But once they tightened everything up, man, Philly didn't have a chance. Pat had a breakthrough game, man. He played a great game. I definitely agree with you that Bender was phenomenal. Still loving what Bronny is bringing to the pitch too, man. He's really been playing well. And what was up with Byrne tonight, man? That guy was all the way forward on the right. I mean, it was great stuff, but man, he was just like a man possessed tonight with the way he was running with the ball.
Yeah, and I want to add that, Leo Labata had a phenomenal game as well. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but just his runs, and he just looked very, very dangerous, and his link-up play with Ben and with Nathan on that right side, man, it was a very, very good match for Leo. All around, it was a good match. Like I said earlier, other than that first, 20 minutes where we had some like Dean Smith said in the post-game press conference, it was just uncharacteristic mistakes from Kalina. It could have cost you really on that one where Melanda made the goal line clearance, and luckily it didn't cost you. And another clean sheet for the Crown, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to mention the Christian Kalina mistake early on in the game. That was in the first 10 minutes because I was actually in the kitchen making dinner, and I heard something on TV. I had to go back and rewind it, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?" Yeah, that was a mess, and I believe that's Melanda getting credit with a save. Uh, I think that's how that works. So good job, heads up play by Melanda to track back and get a hold of that to prevent that error from, really costing us on the score sheet. But yeah, let me go ahead and ask you guys as far as MVPs tonight. I mean, obviously Patrick Ajimon with the brace, and I was kind of hoping that Dean would leave him on so he could go for the hat trick, but uh, I mean, Christian Kalina also had a good performance, a lot of crazy saves.
I mean, yeah, I think Ben has to have a shout. Obviously, Kalina, outside of that first 20 minutes, he had some really really good some shot stopping saves there in the second half. I think Nathan Burton, man. I think Nathan was like, I mean, he's just all over the pitch and defended extremely, extremely well. I mean, you can't say enough about this back line right now. They're absolutely in form. And so, I mean, realistically, the whole back line, Milan to Privet. And yeah, I mean, even Kerwin had some good looks. Yair with the assist on the first goal for Patrick. So, I mean, it's just all around a very, very good performance, and definitely from that back line again.
Yeah, I'm going to say I thought it was the best performance of the year. I know the DC game was pretty statistically overwhelming. The only thing that I can think on this was, the first 20 minutes was pretty rough, and the attacking momentum chart really shows that. But I mean, I saw Breck Diagre come in stoppage time, and just in the limited amount of minutes. I mean, the ref gave him 8 minutes of added time at the end, but he had 12 touches, and on SofaScore ended up with a 7.1. Not bad for Brecht. We got Kyle Zumbach here. What'd you think about the game?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet tonight. I got three things to say, and then I'm going to be done for the night. Let you soccer folks get into it. So, number one, I'm going to have to eat my crow because last week, I think I kind of got a little agitated with the Patty slander, but of course, I'm not the soccer guy. I get bad information from time to time, but he had a really great game, and I think that combo with Patty and Bender, that could be a good thing moving forward. Number two, kind of going back to our last discussion in the last week's game about the referees and everything. Charlotte had 3 yellow cards again tonight, where Philly didn't have any. So, I mean, I'm not saying that for the rule, but, it seems like we've said, that Charlotte always gets, the crap end of stuff. And then, number three, good win tonight. A much needed win. We're up to third place, but the schedule doesn't get any easier. And I'm really excited because the next game I'm going to attend is against that Mexico team, Cruz Azul, however you say it. Really excited for that one, but that's a couple of weeks away. But looks like the momentum is starting to come about, and we'll see how we do moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah. The Leagues Cup and the match with Cruz Azul, I think that's going to be a good one. And I think we're going to end up being in fourth place. It looks like Red Bull is probably going to take.
I was just
game.
about to say Red Bulls have retaken third. They are currently up 1-0 against Toronto at halftime.
Yeah, dude, they had a banger for that goal though. That's going to be goal of the week from what is it, Manuel with Red Bull? He just hit top net. Like, oh my god, what a blast!
But the good news is that Nashville looks like they're about to beat New York City FC. Yeah, I think we're going to hang on to fourth this week, which is really good for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And I want to kind of give a shout out to the U17 boys. If y'all don't know, beat LAFC last night in the semifinals of MLS Next Cup, and we'll be playing Sunday in the final. I believe it's 7 p.m. Eastern against LA Galaxy to try to take home the trophy.
Is that tomorrow Sunday or next Sunday?
Tomorrow Sunday.
Oh, dang.
And don't forget, we also have the U.S. playing tomorrow night in Copa America.
Yep, 6 o'clock tomorrow night against Bolivia. Again, the Euros going on. It's like Luke said earlier. It's the solstice of soccer right now. You got Mexico, Jamaica going on right now. Jamaica had a goal, then it was ruled offside. Obviously, all the MLS action going on as well. But yeah, I mean, getting back to Charlotte FC in the post game press conference, Dean rated this game. I think it was Danny Brams that asked him, you gave the DC United game a 6 out of 10 performance wise. What would you give this match? And he said, "Yeah, I'll bump it up to a 7 for this match." Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would y'all think? Are y'all thinking about the same 7 out of 10? Would y'all go a little higher? You think it was a little lower?
I'll tell you, if it wasn't for the first 20 minutes, I would disagree with Dean. That first 20 minutes was pretty brutal, and I think maybe seven's kind of fair. I think if they were solid from the first whistle, I think it's got to be at least an 8.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Joe. I was going to say the same thing. The first 20 minutes really drags down that performance, but overall, once we kind of figured things out, that was as good as I've seen this team. I'd say the second half of this game was probably the best half of soccer that I've seen this year.
Yeah, and it was great to see, even when you're up 2-0. I mean, Charlotte was still pushing, man. They were pushing for that third. That's and again, I just think that they kind of felt it. They knew honestly they were the better team, and they felt that, and it was just all gas no brakes that second half.
Good deal. I got Len Kornakia here. Len, what were your thoughts on the game?
Hey, I thought in the first half they were kind of going down our left side, like attacking Urinen quite a bit, and I thought we were a little bit not shaky there because Ure on a number of occasions dispossessed their attacker, whoever it was. I think they were coming down with Ure, who was playing one of the forward positions, and I think Sullivan was one of their midfielders. They kept trying to attack him. He held pretty well, but I thought we were a little exposed on that side. It made me a little nervous. But I don't know what Dean did in the second half, but man, whatever he adjusted, it was like magic tonic because that game totally changed. I thought Ben Bender tonight made such a huge difference because one of the things that we've been lacking out of the midfield is a player who is willing to consistently get forward. And even the Apple broadcaster, I forgot her name, Lori something or other, she was saying how Bender, helped form like a line of 4 players across our attacking 18-yard yard box. And that made such a difference because he kept running into space and attacking defenders, trying to get behind them and get involved with our 3 up front players, something we had been lacking quite a bit this year. Tonight was the best 10 we had, and it was Ben Bender. 10 meaning the attacking midfielder. So that was great to see. Yeah, I would have almost give the team a 7.5 out of 10 tonight. I'll split the difference.
Yeah, Lynn,
I like it.
Lynn, I was going to say, I mean, I've been saying this, if y'all been listening to the podcast, I've been saying this since Ben, even when Ben was injured, me and Luke both have been calling, we need a 10, we need a 10. Brett isn't the answer, we need a 10. And I've been saying, I think Ben Bender could realistically be the answer with just his vision, his creativity. Every time he's on the pitch, something good happens. I mean, the Red Bulls game, we got absolutely throttled this season up in New York, or up in New Jersey. But Ben, he comes on and scores, and good things happen when he's on the pitch. He finds ways to either be in the right place at the right time, or find that creative pass to break down a defense. And I mean, I think we still need to go out and get a number 10 just for depth. And honestly, you go out and sign a DP number 10. Ben would be a phenomenal backup for that person, whoever it may be. But yeah, I agree. I think that having him playing up there, it just makes a massive difference in the attack for this team.
Speaking of potential number 10s, I heard, I think it was John Hayes mentioned this as a player he might want to sign. What do we think of trying to bring in Christian Eriksen? Because he's probably valued between 5 and 10 million. Do you think he would be a good fit for this team?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan, so I'm very familiar with Christian Eriksen's game. Obviously, we know what happened at the Euros, the last Euros, and the health concerns, but he's back with Denmark again this Euros and has already scored a goal in the Euros. And I think he's still a world-class player on his day. So if that's the case, you're striking gold, in my opinion, with that.
I would agree. I think he could be a really great fit.
The Ben Bender situation, I am a little concerned with him because right before he came off, I think there was a challenge that he got called for a foul on, which was kind of BS. But it looked like he felt a little pain in his calf, so I am a little worried about another potential injury to Ben Bender. But just a thought.
Yeah, I hope not, man. It's one of those things, right? It's once players have that they're susceptible to injury. It just seems like it, and I hope to God that that this doesn't happen to Ben. But it just seems like they're very prone to injury, and I hope that he is not one of those guys. And it's just a little knock. One other thing I want to kind of touch on before I actually have to hop off here to go to work in the morning, but Ashley Westwood getting a silly yellow card. I know me and Joe kind of talked about it a little bit on Twitter, but getting a silly yellow card, and I believe that means he's out for next match for his second yellow card accumulation ban of the season. Houston's playing good ball right now. It comes at a very tough time for me personally. And again, like I told Joe, I don't think that it was a yellow, but I think that it's a silly one to do. You're good. The game's over. You've won 2-0. There's no reason to. You have 3 players behind the ball. There's no reason to go into that challenge and go in with arms up. It's just silly, and I think it was a horrible call to give, or a yellow to give from the ref. But it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to put yourself in that position.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I just want to give a shout out to Caleb Adams. He just posted, and I retweeted it. Charlotte FC's last 10 matches, 6 wins, 6 clean sheets, 3 draws, only 1 loss in the last 10 games, 13 goals scored. We're currently sitting 4th place in the Eastern Conference. If Red Bull blow their lead here, then we could be as high as 3rd. But we're in that conversation for a home playoff game right now, going into a tough away stretch. We're in an unbelievable place. If you told me at the beginning of the season that we'd be on pace to score over 50 points, I would not have believed you. Not before the summer transfer window.
MLS Gone Wild, or that Twitter account, predicted us to be last in the East.
Yeah, that's Blake. He's actually been on the podcast before. I just submitted that post to Freezing Cold Takes. So it's a tough look for Blake right now. He's going to have to live that one down to eat some crow.
Yeah, well, I mean, he wasn't alone. A lot of the national media, I can dig up my tweet. I took their preseason predictions from the first 2 seasons with our final positions, and then put that alongside their preseason predictions this year. And I said, you all have a very terrible record in predicting how good Charlotte will be. Maybe you could change this year. Oh, wait. You're predicting us to be wooden spoon contenders again. And every season they predict that, and we're right at the playoff line. And this season, they predicted us even lower somehow than the first 2 seasons. And here we are. Look at us now. Who would have thought?
Well, I think that goes to show what a difference in coaching can actually make. Because if you look at the team from this year and last year, besides Leo Abada and the absence of 2 of our designated players, we're essentially the same team. Some could argue we're a weaker team, but now that we have a decent coach in Dean Smith, we are a much more organized and cohesive team that are able to beat opponents like Philadelphia Union, Columbus Crew, and some of the better teams in MLS.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is you got to give all credit to Dean. I mean, again, specifically just speaking about this back line was in shambles last season, and it's the same players. So, that you have to point to something, and it's got to be Dean. I literally just reposted what the Caleb Adams tweet and said that Dean deserves a knighthood for what he's come in and done for this back line.
Yeah, if we put a roof on the stadium, we got to call it the Dean Dome.
As a Duke fan, I object.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said cohesiveness, because that is what it is to me. It's not just the coach. It's the way the entire front office, from the scouting department to the training department to the academy and development side of things, they're all working together in synergy. Mexico just went up on Jamaica 1-0. So anybody interested in that game, we finally got some action. But yeah, no, the entire
Dang it, you
organization was
spoiled it for
working
me.
with
It just happened. You spoiled it for me. Dang it.
That's what it is.
How are you doing tonight, Luke?
Hey, what's up, Sam?
Well,
I heard you steal my question in the press conference. Thanks for that, buddy.
oh, which question was it?
The halftime adjustments.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally missed that. Wouldn't have changed my mind anyway. But yeah, I mean, great performance. I don't see how anybody can be mad about this or anything but happy about it.
No.
There were some good adjustments. Philly, well, actually, some people can be mad about it if you're a Philadelphia Union fan. Yeah, I mean, this is what all of us have wanted to see. So I mean, I don't think there's any point belaboring that. I think some of the good takeaways from the presser, Patrick was talking about how he has come such a long way over the past year. He scored his first goal on June 10th, 2023. Now it's June 22nd, 2024. And he scored his first MLS brace. Last year, I think it was a really exciting time because, you had Brandon Cambridge come in and score a brace, and then you had Patrick become the first player in MLS history to score an MLS goal and a next pro goal in the same weekend.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, Brandon, ended up getting injured, and we haven't been able to see what he would be capable of in this situation. Patrick, luckily, had that one small injury that kept him out of the first game, but has otherwise been good to go the entire year. And we've gotten to see, I think, someone who people can root for, and ceiling is the roof for this guy.
Yeah, I love it. So with the press conference with Patrick, did you ask him about the goal drought since, what was it, the Nashville game?
Nick went specifically into the goal drought, and so Patrick responded to that question by just saying, he kept his head down. It, just went to work. It never really, he never lost confidence in his game, but he just knew if he persisted and kept going, that he'd do what he needed to do, and that showed itself tonight.
Yeah, and I think it was the first away goals for him since the Red Bulls game last year. So good to see him pick up his form on the road as well. Yeah, I mean, can't say better things about Patrick Ajman. I thought last game he had just a bad showing, a bad outing, and to bounce back from that with this performance, I think it can silence the haters. I was listening to Crowncast maybe, and they were talking about how people are so unrealistic with their expectations. They hated on Enzo. And then once Pat showed an ounce of promise, they jumped on that. Like Pat was going to be the savior of the team and be the designated striker that we always wanted. And that was never his role or his place in the team, in the squad. So, the highs are high, the lows are lows. We have a very reactive fan base. But I think Pat he's still developing, and he's going to be a absolute menace for for the league for the foreseeable future. So I'm glad we have him.
I'm going to venture to say that part of the problem with what you're talking about being on Enzo, and before that it was other player. It was Karol Swiderski in his first year too, if you remember. People were complaining and bitching about him, and then it became Capetti, and then when he left, now they're going to jump on Patrick. I think part of the issue here, and this is not to say anything bad about our fan base, but we have a soccer team that's only 3 years old, and probably a lot of fans that haven't been watching a lot before that. So really understanding the nuances of the game and how players can play a role, and in very important roles, without scoring all the goals, is hard for a new soccer fan to see and understand, and it does take time. So I kind of give him a break on that a little bit. It does frustrate me too sometimes, because like with Capetti, and I know we've talked about him ad nauseum, and we don't need to anymore, but there was a value he had to the team, and other players saw it. Zoran saw it. Dino saw it. For whatever reason, he's not on the team anymore. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a contributor to the team. He was. He was in his own way. And I think that we just have a fan base that hopefully, as time goes on, they can start to appreciate the nuances of the game a little bit more, and not get and jump on people so fast. It's not like basketball. Your star forward isn't going to drop 30 every night. It's just a different game, and I think fans have to look at it differently.
I would also add to that. I mean, how many folks in the fan base are Panthers fans, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
probably a really good number. And the Panthers really haven't been good for a while now. And they're probably looking to Charlotte FC to be the team, right? Somebody to bring them the glory that they're not getting with the Panthers. And the problem is like, and then to add to what you were saying, hey, look, it's a new team, and a lot of these fans aren't probably familiar with soccer. They're casual fans, and they see things like, oh, here's Patrick now taking over. Now he's got to be expected to score a goal a game, when that's not how it even works with your DP striker doesn't score every game. They just don't realize that, and that probably plays into it also, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Joe's saying. But the good thing is, though, with Charlotte performing the way it is now, given the way Dean has kind of reshaped this team, and with fans like us who understand the game and can explain it to them, I think now they're going to start seeing, okay, so this is how soccer works, and it's going to, like you said, it's going to take players, especially young players like Patrick Ajiman, to get up to speed. And I think tonight, with his first brace of the season, um, I think the floodgates are starting to open for him. I think this is just going to be the start of what we can start to see from Patrick. And so I hope those fans that you were mentioning, Len, that jump down the throats of our players, are going to start realizing that it soccer is a different beast compared to NFL or NBA matches, and that we've got to give those players the time to grow into their positions.
That's a great point, and it actually speaks to what one of the things Patrick said tonight that I forgot to mention, which is that when he got that first goal, it gave him a huge boost of confidence, and I think he'd agree with you.
Yeah, and honestly, I've definitely been one of the ones kind of critical of his lack of scoring over the last few games, and starting to worry that he's starting to look like Copetti 2.0. I definitely see that with that first goal tonight, and then him getting that second goal, his confidence is definitely getting that boost. And so I feel like even with us missing Westwood in Houston next week, I still feel like whoever we slot in there, so long as we got Bronico and Bender there to help feed Vargas and Abada and Ajman is going to start getting those goals. So but he needed that confidence booster tonight, and I think he's got it. So now I think we're going to start seeing him start to rack up those goals for Charlotte.
Absolutely, and nobody wants to talk about this on the record, to be clear, and I can't talk about the off the record part about it, but Patrick's been clipped 3 or 4 times this season in the penalty box. Hasn't gotten a single pen from it. Like, just imagine if any point over the past 7 matches, if he had actually been awarded one of those pens and got to put it in the back of the net, could be a completely different season.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think part of the reason that he is not getting those calls is because of his size. He is a big man for his, for being a young player. And there are times where he uses it and there's times where he doesn't use it. And lately, I would say probably since the Atlanta game, he's really started to utilize his size as a striker. And I think for a lot of referees, they're allowing that to play against him, which is why he's getting clipped or getting pulled down by his jersey or whatnot, and the refs are swallowing the whistle. So because he's looking like such a physical player to the opponents, and I I feel like really the refs just don't know, or just are unwilling to make those calls for him, because then you've got the opponents then complaining that he's done something. So hopefully the refs will start to, kind of wake up and say, okay, you know what? He's a really good player. If he's getting clipped in the box, or if he's getting pulled down, by opponent players, they've really got to start making those calls for Patrick.
Here's my slight disagreement to your point, which is you look at a guy like Christian Benteke. If he was in the same position as Pat and getting pulled down and clipped like Pat has been getting clipped, you don't think that they're calling penalties in his favor? And Benteke is the same. He's a big player also.
Right, but how long has Benteke been playing for DC United as opposed to how long Ajiman's been playing for Charlotte FC?
I get that, but that shouldn't matter though. If it's
No,
a
I
bet, it's a
agree with
bet.
you. No, I completely 100% agree with you. It shouldn't matter, right? Because in both situations, Patrick Ajiman and Christian Benteke are both big men. I get it. But unfortunately, with the way MLS refs handle things in the league, Benteke has built himself up a reputation, right? He is a great striker. He's got a lot of goals to his name. He has led DC to some magnificent wins, deep playoff runs, what have you. Ajiman, technically speaking, is an unknown right now for MLS refs. He's starting to get a reputation within the MLS of being a strong player, and hopefully tonight the start of being a top goal scorer. That's why I think if he continues on this track, that in the rest of the season we're going to start seeing more and more calls made in favor of Ajiman, when so far up to this point a lot of calls have not been made. So so Joe, not disagreeing with you at all. Every player should be treated equally and equitably in the games, but I think we can all agree that the refs in MLS have been extremely biased, especially against Charlotte, with Charlotte being a relatively new team and a franchise that is trying to make a name for itself. I think, again, if our team continues to perform the way we are, if we do really well in the Leagues Cup, right, and we end up higher in the rankings than most people predicted us to be at the end of the season, I think come the 2025 season, Charlotte's going to start getting a lot more respect than it's gotten in the last 3 years.
So we got some more folks in here. If anybody else wants to come on up and talk, tell me what you thought about the game tonight. We got a tough stretch coming up here soon. We got Houston. We got Inter Miami. We got Leagues Cup coming up just tomorrow. Right here in Charlotte, we have Ashley Westwood with his beer release party at Hopfly. The Captain is the name of his beer. So like Bronico has had his own beer with Hopfly, and Fuchs had his beer with Resident Culture. Ashley Westwood is continuing the proud brewing tradition in the Queen City, if I can talk. And that is going to be tomorrow, 1 p.m. at Hopfly Brewing. We also have some really good Euros action. We have Scotland and Hungary alongside Switzerland and Germany, both kicking off at 3 o'clock. Then we have the U.S. team playing Bolivia at 6 p.m. If anybody is in the Fort Mill or York County area, make sure to stop by Replay Brewing. The American Outlaws Fort Mill chapter is going to have a watch party. Up in Charlotte, I think Dilworth Grill is still the location for the Queen City Outlaws. So, yeah, let's watch the U.S. team in Copa. And then Uruguay and Panama wraps up the evening.
Luke, you're leaving out the most important soccer match for Charlotte FC event tomorrow.
Oh, of course. We have the U17 Academy team playing in the national championship for MLS Next. And if you are a soccer sicko like me, then you have been watching this Academy team when they're playing in the Generation Adidas Cup, when they're playing in the MLS Next tournaments. They are broadcast on Apple Plus, the same place that you go to watch the Charlotte FC games. You just got to scroll down or look for the banner for MLS Next. And this broadcast will be on there. Sometimes they simulcast on YouTube. Sometimes they don't. So you just have to go look for it. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting. That U17 team, I've seen them play a bunch in these tournaments. And from what I understand, they don't always have the best record when they're going into the tournament, like from their regular season. But when it's clutch time, they really turn it up. They've been really good on PKs. They've been good on set pieces. And then that win last night was incredible. I was up till 1 a.m., 1:30 in the morning, whatever it was, watching that game, and it was added extra time after regulation, and they had just a complete team sequence counterattack where I think 3 or 4 guys touched the ball to bring it all the way up the field in just a complete breakaway. And Nympha Berchamus is, like Cole was saying last night, he's a cheat code. The dude is unreal. Sam, if you want to, take over, what are your thoughts on the U17 team?
So obviously Nympha has played for he's now played for 3 different Charlotte FC teams this calendar year. Just another guy who's great fun to watch, and knowing Dean Smith and talking, one of the things that I talked to Dean extensively about while working on a profile of him was how important debuts are to Dean, and that goes all the way back to his debut with Walsall when he was a player in the 80s and 90s, and how his coach at the time called his parents, let them know that they needed to be at the match because it was an away match where Dino debuted as a player, and his parents knew before he did, his family knew before he did, that he was going to debut that Saturday. Um, and ever since that, debuts have had a really important meaning to Dean. And I say all this to say, keep an eye on Rocket Renteria, uh, that he could be the next kid to make a debut for the first team, or Crown Legacy. Um, you know, in the last year, he transferred from the Atlanta Academy to the Charlotte Academy. Kid is really really fun to watch. Had a absolute golazo last night in the U17 match that equalized for the Crown. And I can't wait to see that kid get his debut. Additionally, I promise this will be the only personal plug. Um, a couple weeks ago, I was able to talk to James Diongo, who is one of the co-captains of the team, and his brother Jono plays for Crown Legacy. And he plays center back and helped hold down the match after giving up an early goal last night. So another fun guy to watch. And if you see a guy talking to the camera on the Academy's social media, a lot of the times it's James. And as somebody who's not only one of our Academy players but also homegrown, like Charlotte is his home. Him and his brother both came up in the Independence Academy before there even was a Charlotte FC Academy. Um, I'd say between those 3, you've got some pretty good guys to watch tomorrow night.
That's awesome. And hey, good shout out with Rocket. I remember when we signed him from the Atlanta Academy, it might have been my first press conference with Dean, and I asked him about it in the press conference, and they basically said, that's on the Academy side. You'd have to ask them. But since then, they kept things pretty tight-lipped. So I'm really glad to hear that you're seeing his potential. He was a very highly touted prospect. I want to say he was like the #1 Academy prospect in the MLS system last year, and we got him from the Atlanta Academy. So that's a huge get. Bright future. Yeah, the U17 team. What time do they kick off tomorrow? I think it's 7. Okay, cool. So yeah, that'll be on Apple Plus. The US team is at 6. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be just soccer all afternoon. So clear out your calendar. We'll see you guys at Hopfly. Any final thoughts? Charlotte FC is riding high right now, 4th place in the table. and we're in a position that nobody expected. How does it feel?
Yeah, I would just like to make one final thought before I leave, or two. Charlotte FC now has the best home record in the Eastern Conference and MLS. We're even better than Miami currently. That is incredible. And also, when you play Charlotte FC, you either get your coaches fired, your entire home stadium booing at your own players, or the entire stadium chanting "Sell the team." It has been a great year for Charlotte FC so far.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Ash on this. It's great to see Charlotte being a top 4 team when so many people, including our own members of our own fan base, didn't think that we were even worthy of being in the top 5 or top 6. It's just, again, a testament to what Dean has managed to do with this team in just 8, 9 months, 10 months since he's taken over as head coach. Yeah, definitely a great feeling. I feel like Charlotte is hitting its stride. They're building up momentum. Honestly, it just comes down to who we bring in this summer to fill in the places that we need filling in at. I feel like Charlotte's about to steamroll Leagues Cup. I feel like we're about to steamroll the rest of the season, and we may be looking at 1 or 2 playoff home games at Bank of America Stadium come October and November.
I'll just jump in here and say, at the beginning of the year, I figured that we'd be between 6th and 8th. Not knowing Dean, knowing that he was an experienced manager, but just not knowing enough about him. But figured that he had some level of competency. But man, he just really transformed the back line into being a real stalwart defense, and that really has made a huge difference, which I think everybody here can acknowledge. And I really think that if we get that DP10 and even a DP9, although Pat's doing well, but I still think that we need a DP9. To be honest with you, for Pat to follow up with, to learn from, to mold from. Because although he had a great game tonight, I still think he's a little raw, but he's a talented player. But he needs to learn how to put it all together and become a little more technical. But I think if we get that DP10 and a DP9, man, we're really going to be dangerous.
Totally agree.
Yay! That's my final thought. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, when they open up, what's the new stadium going to be? 2046?
What a joke.
I will be 91 years old, so which one of you young dudes are going to wheel me into the first game?
If I'm still in Charlotte, that would be me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm holding you to it, baby. That's my final thought.
No, we'll do like the Wrexham episode a couple episodes ago. We wheel you in there when you're 100 years old, and then they lose the fucking game.
I'll take it.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been the post-game Twitter Spaces. Everything is better when we walk away with a dub, a 2-0 pounding of the Philadelphia Union. The crown is riding high. We are 4th place in the Eastern Conference. We are an undisputed top 10 team in MLS. We are arguably the best defensive team in the league. We have potential all-stars all through our back line. And, where is there to go from here except Houston, Texas? I will catch you guys all again next week. And until then, it's for the crown.